नमो पादाय पृष्ठाय भूतले ते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे राम Yes. So anyone remembers last session what we discussed? Hmm? Anyone would like to share? Yes. Any guesses?
We were discussing the symptoms of bhakti yogis, how they walk, how they behave, all these
Correct.
characteristics of bhakti.
Correct. We were discussing about characteristics of a sthita prajna, or a one who is situated in divine consciousness and transcendence, or one who is practicing bhakti yoga. Those symptoms of such person, Arjuna was asking to Krishna, what are the symptoms of such persons? So what all he asked? Ki bhasha, how does he speak? How does he act? General symptoms he asked. Then how does he sits? How does he sits means how does he refrain himself from sense enjoyment or sense gratification? This is what Arjuna asked. So this is the point we discussed in last session. How does he sit? Means how does he refrain from his senses, or how does he refrain from the sense enjoyment? So what analogy Krishna gave here? Anyone remembers analogy?
He gave the example of a tortoise.
Yes, he gave the example of a tortoise. How tortoise, when there is a danger, tortoise withdraws the limbs into the shell. Same way, devotees or a bhakti yogi, when there is a need, they engage the senses in the service of the Lord, and where then there is no need, they withdraw those senses from the objects, sense objects. So that is the way Krishna explained that how they restrain their senses. Now coming to the next fourth question, fourth thing that Arjuna he asked, what he asked, how does he walk? That is the fourth portion of his question. How does he walk means how does he engages his senses? Previous question was how does he restrain? How does he restrain his senses from the sense objects? That was the previous question. This question is how does he engage his senses? How does he engage his senses? So this is what Krishna is going to answer in next verses from verse number 64 to verse number 72. Next 8 to 9 verses, Krishna is going to answer this thing. So very detailed answer Krishna is going to give. How does he engages his senses, and what are the consequences when he engages his senses in the service of the Lord? So this is all what Krishna is going to explain in the further verses. So we'll share the screen. So all of you can join in chanting the shloka. Raga dvesha vimuktestu
Raja vimuktestu
Vishyan indriyascharan
Vishyan indriyascharan
Atma vishayar vidyatma
Atma vishya vidyatma
Prasadam adhigacchati.
Prasadam
Prasadam adhigacchati.
Yes, anyone like to chant each shloka, please chant.
राग द्वेष विमुक्तास्तु विषयान इंद्रियश्चरण आत्मवश आत्मवश्यैर्विद्यन् विद्यात्मा प्रसादम अधिगच्छति.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else? Someone else?
राग द्वेष विमुक्तस्तु विषयान इंद्रियश्चरम आत्मवश्यैर्विद्यात्मा प्रसादम अधिगच्छति.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else would like to try?
Yes, Prabhuji. मैं करना चाहूँगा. राग द्वेष विमुक्तस्तु विषयान इंद्रियैश्चरम् आत्मवश्यैर्विद्यात्मा प्रसादम् अधिगच्छति.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else would like to try? Anyone else? Okay. So we'll continue with the translation. One who can control his senses by practicing the regulated principle of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord and thus become free from all attachment and aversion. Raga Dvesha. Raga means attachment, Dvesha means detachment. So one can get free from all attachment and detachment, or a devotee is free from all kinds of attachment and detachment. How? When he control his senses. How he control his senses? By practicing regulated principles of freedom. By practicing regulated principles of freedom, he control his senses. So when he control his senses, what happens? He receives prasadam. Prasadam adhigacchati. Prasadam means he receives the mercy of the Lord. Prasadam here is mercy of the Lord. He receives the complete mercy of the Lord. And when he receives the complete mercy of the Lord, he is free from all kinds of detachment as well as attachment. He is free from all kinds of detachment as well as attachment. So we'll understand more in detail. We'll read this purport. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial processes. But unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to the sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of Lord, which the devotees can achieve in spite of his being attached to sensual platform. So, wonderful purport and very deep purport Prabhupada has written. So we'll try to understand this. So, a devotee who is practicing bhakti yoga, he is free from all kind of attachments as well as detachment. Just like, suppose for a person in general, something is right or morally it is right, he should do that thing. But a devotee may not do that particular task or particular thing or particular action if it does not pleases to the Lord. Just like during the time of Mahabharata, Krishna asked Bhima, "Oh Bhima, you should attack Duryodhana under his abdomen, below his abdomen, on his thighs you should attack. As per the Artha Shastra, as per the Shastra which contains the moral conducts of war, a warrior should not attack another warrior below the abdomen. He should not attack. That is against the code of conducts of war. But Krishna asked that you should attack on his thighs, you should attack below his abdomen, and that is the only way you can kill him." So without any second thought, Bhima killed Duryodhana. Bhima attacked Duryodhana, and that's the way he killed Duryodhana. Because Krishna wanted. Same way, we see Vasudev, he gave his promise to Kamsa that I will hand over all my 8 children to you. When Kamsa he heard the Akashvani, the celestial voice, that 8 child born from your sister's womb will be the cause of your death. So to save or to protect Devaki, Vasudev promised that I'll hand over all the children, all the child, whoever takes birth from the Devaki wombs, I will hand over to you. But all of us, we know, when the 8th child Krishna was born, so Krishna asked Vasudev that you take me to Gokul and replace me with the daughter who has born to Yashoda Maiya, who was born to Yashoda. So Vasudev, he didn't ask or he didn't bother about his promise at all. He immediately followed what Krishna wanted and what pleased to Krishna. So devotees, they are free from all such attachments, even detachments also. How detachment? Like there are various, organizations, or you can say various philosophers who renounce everything. They renounce eating good palatable dishes. They renounce all kind of facilities, all kinds of gadgets, everything they renounce. Just renounce, leave everything. That is their understanding. Whereas devotees of the Lord, they use or they utilize everything in the service of the Lord. They take it as a prasadam of the Lord, that this is prasadam of the Lord, and they engage in honoring that prasadam. Prasadam, palatable dish it is. So they are engaging their senses in honoring that prasadam, eating that prasadam. So they are free from that detachment also. Like people, they detach everything, so they are free from that also. This food or this prasadam belongs to Krishna, has been offered to Krishna. Now let me honor. Or suppose any such gadget, suppose there is some gadget is there, let me engage in Krishna's service to spread the holy name of the Lord, to spread the holy message of the Lord, bless people, or to give mercy of the Lord to the people, so that they may make spiritual progress, spiritual advancement in their life. So that is the understanding of the devotees. Even though, just like here, Prabhupada has mentioned, although the person is full Krishna conscious, may apparently be on the sensual plane. Because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. Means, if it is not pleasing, that activity, particular activity is not pleasing to the Supreme Lord, he will not engage himself in that particular activity. Just like previous verse, Krishna gave the example of a tortoise. How tortoise? He withdraws the senses, he withdraws the limbs when there is no engagement, when there is no utility of those limbs, he does not engage those senses, those limbs. But if Krishna does not want, here also it's Prabhupada mentioned, if Krishna wants, devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. Just like Prabhupada at the age of 70, when he was 70-year-old. For an ordinary person, it is not at all possible to travel. Just like when we ask some old persons, okay, please come to Vrindavan, or some holy places, pilgrimages, yatras. Because of their old age, they find it very difficult to travel. Lot of problems they may face due to old age. So for them it is very difficult. Same way, Prabhupada, when he was 70-year-old, what he did, he left Vrindavan, he left all his comfort and went to Western countries to spread the holy name and holy message of Bhagavad Gita to the people in general. A 70-year-old person, what he can do? He cannot do some miracles, or he cannot do things which is, extraordinary. For maintaining himself itself is very difficult. But we all know, within a span of 10 years, like Prabhupada, he spread the holy message of Bhagavad Gita across the world, establishes 108 temples, travel 14 times across the globe, and lot of people he blessed with the Krishna consciousness, with the bhakti. It is something which is unimaginable, out of the ability. He don't have that ability to perform such tasks. But still he did it. Why? Because Krishna wanted, his spiritual master wanted, his guru wanted. He took up such a Herculean task, unimaginable task he took up. Same way, if we see the situation of Arjuna, it is very difficult for him to defeat Bhishma, Drona, Karna, even for that matter Jayadratha. It was very difficult for him to defeat all such Maharathis. But Krishna, he wanted Arjuna that you should fight this battle. For what purpose? To establish Dharma. You should fight this battle. So Arjuna, he immediately accepted Krishna's desire. That even though it is not there in my capacity, because Krishna wanted, let me fight. Let me act as per Krishna's desire. Just like we are also constructing world's tallest temple in Vrindavan. It is not there within our capacity to do such a thing. Not at all possible. We don't have such resources, we don't have such capacity. But Prabhupada wanted Krishna. For Krishna we want, for Krishna we desire. When we try to do that, Krishna arranges, Krishna empowers, Krishna provides that facility. by which one can do the undesirable works. One can do undesirable work very easily. Further, if Krishna does not want, he shall not do, he would have done ordinarily for his own satisfaction. Suppose something is not favorable for our Krishna consciousness, for our bhakti, even though very simple task it is, very easily one can do, even a child can do. Such task a devotee will not perform. He will not take interest in such task, even though it may be very simple to execute. But if he is not going to help him in progressing in bhakti or developing relationship with Krishna, or if it is not pleasing to Krishna, he will not do at all. Just like eating something which is not offered to Krishna, devotee, whatsoever it may be, they will not take it, they will not eat it. How much palatable it may be, that food dish, that dish, they will not take it. Why? Because it is not offered to Krishna. They will not take it. Right? So therefore, further Prabhupada says, to act or not to act within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. And such consciousness to act for the pleasure of the Lord is attained by the causeless mercy only. And how that causeless mercy can be achieved? By controlling the senses. And how one can control the senses? By practicing regulated principle of freedom. Now, what is this regulated principles of freedom? What is this term, regulated principle of freedom? So basically, regulated principles of freedom is the sadhana bhakti, rules and regulation one practices to make advancement in bhakti yoga, that is known as sadhana bhakti. Just like suppose a person is there, he is driving his vehicle, his car. So when he is driving his vehicle or car, he is following all rules and regulations while driving. So he can freely drive his vehicle with very ease. Very easily he can drive his vehicle. But suppose he is doing rash driving, he is not at all following rules and regulation, and one and after another there is a challan, there is a penalty which has been put upon him. So what will happen after a certain duration or after a certain time? He has to surrender his driving license. His driving license will be seized. He will not be able to drive freely. Same way, when we practice sadhana bhakti, when we follow the rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti, Krishna gives us that freedom. What kind of freedom? Mukti, liberation he gives us. Liberation from birth, death, old age, disease. He gives liberation from all these things. He gives liberation from the material world. He blesses us with the liberation. Just like Narad Muni. Narad Muni, he practiced the principles of sadhana bhakti. Very strongly he practiced, very sincerely and seriously he practiced for a long time the principles of sadhana bhakti, rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti. So Krishna, he blessed him in such a way that he is free to go anywhere, all across the creation, either in spiritual world or in material world. He can travel anywhere with the speed of mind, without any restrictions. So such freedom is given. Or suppose an employee is there in an organization. He is working very hard for the organization, following all the protocols, all his rules and regulation while working for that organization. So organization also gives the freedom to that employee that he can take decisions. Gradually, he'll take major decisions for the company. All such things, organization will empower him. Organization will empower that employee. Same way, when we practice bhakti yoga, sadhana bhakti. What is sadhana bhakti? Chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, attending Mangalarti in the morning, hearing about Krishna Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, every day hearing and reading about Krishna, having association of the devotees, eating Krishna's prasadam. That is basic principles of sadhana bhakti. When somebody follows those sadhana bhakti principles or regulations, senses get controlled and Krishna will give that freedom. Krishna will give that freedom. Okay, so we'll move to the next verse, verse number 65. I'll chant this shloka. प्रसादे सर्व दुःखानां हन्येर अश्योपजायते प्रसन्ना चेतसो हि यशु बुद्धिर प्रयावशिष्ठते. Translation: for one who is so situated in the divine consciousness, the threefold miseries of material world exist no longer in such a happy state. One's intelligence soon becomes steady. Yes. So here Krishna is mentioning very nice point. What happened to such person who receives the mercy of the Lord? Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Prasade means one who receives that causeless mercy of the Lord. What happened to such person? This is what Krishna is explaining in this verse. Earlier verse, Krishna explained how one can receive the mercy of the Lord, how one can attain the mercy of the Lord. This is what Krishna explained in previous verse, this verse, 64th verse, right? Now here Krishna is explaining, after receiving mercy of the Lord, prasadam of the Lord, what happened to such person? So what happens? Sarva dukkhanam. He gets free from the threefold miseries of material existence. What does it mean? Now that anyone remembers what are the threefold miseries? Someone?
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, threefold miseries are Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik. Adhyatmik is what happens through our own body, like कुछ भी fever हुआ, बीमार हुए. Adi Bhautik is which happens because of some other animal or some other living entity. And Adi Devik is some natural calamity or something.
Yes. So just I'll summarize. So there are three kinds of miseries which act upon every living entity. Each one of us are afflicted by these three kinds of miseries. What are those three miseries? Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, Adhyatmik. Adi Bhautik are the miseries which are caused by the other living entity. Suppose a mosquito has bitten me, so I'll get dengue. That is Adi Bhautik Kalesha, Adi Bhautik misery. Suppose I got afflicted by some tsunami or earthquake. That is Adi Devik, which has been caused by the Deva, nature or divine energy. That misery is known as Adi Devik Kalesha. Or there are some Kalesha which are caused by our own self. Suppose my mind is fully disturbed, I got depressed. That is Adhyatmik Kalesha, Adhyatmik miseries which are caused by own self. So here what Krishna is saying, let us reread. The threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. Means what? When I practice bhakti yoga, when I receive the mercy of the Lord, it means I'll get sick no longer I'll have to suffer, or no longer there is a distress for me. Is that what Krishna is saying? Yes. Anyone? Hmm?
I think those things will come, but since this person is living at a soul level and he will not experience, I mean, he will have power to tolerate them, and he will not have the same kind of effect what a normal person. Krishna will empower him. So I don't know if it is right or not.
Many times when we take up this path of bhakti yoga, devotional service, Krishna consciousness, we develop certain concept that, oh, now I have taken up this process of devotional service, bhakti yoga, why I am suffering? I get sick, I feel why I am suffering. Right? Many people, even when they get some kind of such miseries or suffering, they give up. First thing is they give up bhakti yoga. They will give up, oh, there is no God. If God would have been there, then why I am suffering? I am doing a lot of things for him, but still I am suffering. They'll give up. First thing is they'll give up bhakti. They'll give up chanting. So this thing we can understand from the example of great Mahajana known as Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, he was a great devotee of the Lord, pure devotee of the Lord. He was born in a Daitya Kul, Daitya lineage family, and he was a very great devotee. So when his father came to know that rather than worshipping me, his father was Hiranyakashipu, who has hold the control over the entire this universal creation, entire the planetary systems, all planetary systems he hold of the control. So he was asking his son, rather than worshipping me, you are remembering Vishnu. It's better you should die. So he orders that his son should be killed. So in different ways they tried to kill his son. Sometimes they left the son among poisonous snakes. Once the sister of Hiranyakashipu, Holika, she was given a benediction that she cannot be burnt. So she took hold of Prahlad Maharaj and she took on her lap and sat into the fire. But what happened? Prahlad Maharaj was safe and she got burned, even though she was having benediction that she cannot be burned in the fire. Sometimes this Prahlad Maharaj, he was been thrown from the hill, top of the hill. Sometimes among the elephants, which are very ferocious, they can just step and Prahlad Maharaj is destroyed. Very small Prahlad Maharaj was 5-year-old. So different ways they tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj, but all the attempts was failure. All the attempts were failure. So even all those miseries are acting, all those sufferings are acting upon Prahlad Maharaj, he is not afflicted. He is not afflicted by those miseries. He does not feel that pain. He get above those miseries. Even though those miseries are acting upon him, he will not feel the pain. Such person will not feel that pain, or he'll get strength to face such situations. So what happened when Krishna's mercy, when somebody receives Krishna mercies, he get free from all material existence, miseries of material existence. Just like Draupadi is one of such example. Further, Krishna is mentioning, in such a happy state, Once intelligent, soon becomes steady. And in such a state of happiness, his intelligence is steady. When his intelligence is steady, he is completely able to control his mind and senses. When his buddhi is sthir, buddhi is controlled, intelligence is steady, such person can easily control over his senses and mind. It's very easy for him. And such person, he does not lament also. He is always prasanna chetaso he ashu. Ashu means within a very short period of time, he will be very happy. He will be very happy. We'll read further. नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न च युक्तस्य भावना न चाभावे यतः शांतिर अशांतस्य कुतः सुखम. Translation: one who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor a steady intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So here Krishna is mentioning some 4 to 5 things. What he is telling, what happened to such person who has not received Krishna's mercy, who have not received Krishna's mercy or such transcendental consciousness. So when he has not received Krishna's mercy, so what will happen? He will neither be able to control his mind nor intelligence. So when mind and intelligence are not controlled, so these senses will take for the granted. They will act whimsically. Suppose I want to see something good, so senses will demand in such a way, I'll forget everything, I'll run behind to see something good. Or I want to taste something good, I want to eat something good. If my mind and my intelligence is not controlled, what will happen? I will run behind that object to eat. For that, suppose I have to go to 10 kilometers also, I'll go 10 kilometers and enjoy that object. So I'll lose because my mind and intelligence is not controlled. So I'll lose and I'll run behind satisfying my senses. And by satisfying my senses, there is no end of satisfying senses. How much ever we may try, senses will never be satisfied. And when such situation is there will be no peace. There will be no peace in our life. Our life will be full of turmoil. Full of turmoil. And when there is no peace, Krishna is telling how there can be happiness. If there is no peace, how you will be happy? You cannot be happy. Right? We'll read the purport further. Unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. Why? That is, Prabhupada is going to mention further. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all good results of sacrifice, penance, and that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only can have real peace. So here, peace formula Prabhupada has given. Krishna has given in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada has quoted here. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal. And one is certain that Krishna is enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything. Then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much one may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in his life, Krishna consciousness is self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So, wonderful statement Prabhupada has made here. So, unless, suppose there is a person, he is thief by his, profession, you can say. He is a thief. He takes away or loots the people, money, their, valuables. He takes away all such things. So what happens? If you see, he will never be peaceful in his mind. He will always have some kind of fear. He will always have some kind of insecurity, anxiety. He will never be a peaceful in nature. Same way, when we enjoy objects around us, like even though water, even though sunlight, whatever we may have, natural resources, whatever it is, and we enjoy those things or exploit those things for our own enjoyment, not even recognizing that it belongs to Krishna, what happens? There will be always some kind of anxiety, insecurity or fear will be there. That person cannot be peaceful. Just like a person, he takes the water for drinking, but he is not recognizing that this water is not expressing his gratitude, or he is not grateful for what he has got, water or food. He is not grateful for the farmers. He is not grateful for the rain, or ultimately the Supreme Lord Krishna. He will never be satisfied or happy or peaceful in his life. Whatsoever he may do, there will be some kind of disturbance will come into his life in some way or other. He will be always disturbed. Whereas a person who practices Krishna consciousness, who reads Bhagavad Gita and understand how Krishna explains that everything belongs to him, aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, that everything belongs to me and from me everything has come. When a person understands and recognizes this, he gets a peaceful situation or condition in his life. His life becomes peaceful. Just like Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste of the water. So whenever you drink water, you remember Krishna, you will enjoy that taste. Right? So here, Prabhupada has mentioned Krishna consciousness is self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. When we have a relationship with Krishna, how to develop that relationship with Krishna? By serving Krishna, by performing devotional service, by performing bhakti, we develop that relationship with Krishna. By chanting the holy name or by hearing about Krishna, we develop relationship with Krishna. And when we develop relationship with Krishna, peaceful condition is self-manifested. Automatically it will be there. Just like when you eat food. When we eat food, what happens? Two things happen. One thing is our hunger gets subdued. Another thing is it nourishes our body. When we eat food, two things happen. One is our hunger gets subdued. Another is our body gets nourished. Same way, when we develop relationship with Krishna, when we serve Krishna, One thing is our life, conditions in our life becomes peaceful. Second thing is we make spiritual advancement. We come out of bondage of this material world. Right? We'll move to next verse. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano no vidyate tadasya harati pragnam vayornavam ivambhasi. Translation: as a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Very nice, with a good example Krishna has explained. Just like in an ocean, there is a boat is there, and when there is a strong wind is there, that entire boat can get toppled. It can get even lost in the water. It can be swept away. Can be easily swept away by the strong winds. So Krishna is telling these senses, if they are not controlled, it can even carry away the intelligence of a man. A man who is intelligent, even his intelligence can be lost. Even his intelligence can be lost. So senses are so strong. Impulses of the senses are so strong. We'll read the purport and we'll try to understand more in detail. Unless all the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Amrish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. So our senses, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. This senses, owner of the senses is Rishikesha, Supreme Lord Krishna himself. So when we engage our senses in his service, so we can easily control our senses. Otherwise it is very difficult. So in Garuda Purana, in the Garuda Purana, it comes that what to say of these senses. Even single sense, how it can carry away. So it comes like there is example of 5 animals is given, and those 5 animals as one each senses is very strong, just like deer is given. Deer, how fast it runs, very fast it runs, deer. Even hunter cannot catch the deer very easily, but still hunter catches the deer by his senses. How? Deer has a ability, he wants to hear something good. Deer has very strong ears, that hearing senses are very strong. He wants to hear every time something good. So hunter, what he does, he plays a very melodious, different kind of music which attracts the deer, and deer get caught by the hunter. Right? This is the way deer get entangled by his hearing senses. Second comes elephant. Now this elephant is very strong, very big. He can take away various trees, and in the forest he can create havoc in the forest. So strong, so big he is. But that elephant also get controlled or caught by the hunter. How? That hunter, he trains a she elephant. Hunter trains the she elephant in such a way that she elephant touches the he elephant, and he elephant thinks Now this she elephant is calling me. I should go. So he elephants runs behind that she elephants and fall into a ditch. That he elephants falls into the ditch. And like this, hunter caught hold of the elephant. So this elephant has a very strong sense of touch. And by this touching sense, he get carried away. His life is in danger. Next comes fish. Fish has a very good ability to taste. So we all know how these fish catchers, they use bait to catch the fishes. Fish eats that bait, eat that food, and immediately get stuck into that hunters, fish catchers net or fish catchers that hook. And like this, she also get carried away. She also is in danger. By which ability? By tasting ability. There is one more animal or insect, you can say, bee, honey bee or bee, has the ability of strong smell, fragrance. She is behind the fragrance of the flowers. So what happens sometimes when flower is blooming in the daytime, she sits into that flower and completely enamored and carried away by the fragrance of that flower, she completely forget herself and remain there on that flower. So what happened by the evening when sun is setting, that flowers starts closing. And when that flowers start closing, it is very difficult for the honey bee to come out of that flower. It gets stuck there, and by the morning, she dies. So smelling ability of that sense of honeybee takes away the life of that honeybee. Then fifth comes moth. Moth means small insects, small flies or insects. During rainy season or during particular this season, we see there are a lot of insects which come near around light or fire. When they come near to fire or light, what happens? Due to the heat of the light or fire, their wings get burned. And when their wings get burned, they fall down and they die. Over a period of time, they die. Like 2-3 hours or overnight, they die. So they have that ability to see something good, something glowing. They get attracted to something which is glowing. And like this, they give up their life. So each of the senses, if you see, these animals have only one senses. And by these one senses, they get carried away and they are into some turmoil or some kind of difficulty in their life. So just imagine, we have all these 5 senses. We human beings, we have all these 5 senses. How difficult it is and how these senses can carry away our intelligence, we cannot even imagine. So now what is the process? Process is to engage these senses under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, under the instructions of Krishna. When we engage these senses in devotional service, in service of the Krishna, one can easily control over these senses. And when one is easily control over these senses, one can easily control his mind. And when mind is controlled, his intelligence is controlled. And intelligence is controlled, Krishna mercy or Krishna's blessings are there upon that person. Krishna prasadam is there. Means Krishna reveals the knowledge, transcendental knowledge, to that person by which he can go back to Godhead. Krishna reveals that knowledge to that person. That is the meaning of Krishna prasadam, Krishna mercy. Okay, so We'll end here. Anyone has any question or anything to ask, please feel free to ask or share. Yes, any questions? श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय
Yeah.
हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण